Let's meet the real hero of this story. This is not a man, but a small dog of the Beagle breed. He was a police dog of the capital city police department. One day, while the mayor of the city was addressing a large crowd, this Beagle dog looked at a box next to him and started barking non-stop. The police officers present there became very suspicious. As the Beagle kept approaching the box and barking, the police confirmed that there was a bomb inside. They quickly moved the mayor from there to a safe place. Then the SWAT team and the bomb squad opened the box with great caution. But to everyone's shock, what they saw inside the box was not a bomb, but only some pieces of meat. Seeing this, everyone present started laughing at the Beagle. They dismissed him from his job, branding him a useless dog for the police department. As he walked down the street in distress, 3 arrogant German shepherds from the police department taunted him. They spoke to him in dog language, teasing him. A stray dog was caught in a cage by a dog catcher. The poor dog did not understand what was happening to him. He asked another dog in the cage next to him what this place was. Then the dog told him, "Don't mistake this for an adoption center. This is the laboratory of a cruel scientist named Simon. He takes dogs from the streets and subjects them to cruel experiments." The Beagle was terrified upon hearing this. At this time, Simon's assistant, Cad, showed Simon a newspaper article. It was a mocking story about our Beagle dog who had mistaken it for a bomb and discovered meat. Seeing this, Simon said with disdain, "Stupid policemen think that training dogs can make them strong, but I can create the strongest dog in the world through genetic research." That day, Simon decided to test his new formula on our Beagle's body. If the experiment failed, the Beagle would die. When he saw the large needle in Simon's hand, he was scared. When Simon tried to inject the medicine, the Beagle barked loudly and tried to run away. In the panic, many of the equipment and supplies in the lab collapsed. Finally, a large shelf containing chemicals and formulas that Simon had stored for years fell on the Beagle's body. All those formulas spread into the Beagle's body and exploded. But after that accident, some amazing changes happened. The Beagle's body became stronger and more muscular. When he tried to escape from there, the large walls and doors of the lab collapsed. Simon was completely shocked to see this. The formulas he had researched and created for years had succeeded. But the dog escaped. Simon's entire laboratory was burned down in that huge explosion in the lab. Simon's only goal now was to somehow catch the Beagle back. The Beagle, who escaped from there and reached the street, felt very hungry. While he was looking for food in a large waste bin, 3 street dogs, who were the local hooligans, came to him. They did not like him coming into their territory and looking for a new dog food. The 3 of them got together to attack the Beagle. When the Beagle ran away from them, he jumped onto the road and was hit by a car that came that way. The stray dogs also ran away from there in fear. The person driving the car was named Dan. He thought that a poor dog had died because of him. But because of the power of that formula, the Beagle did not even get a scratch. He got up and started licking Dan's shoes lovingly. Realizing that he was a very good dog and that he had no owner, Dan decided to take him to his own home. Although Dan's car had been badly damaged, bent, he was surprised to find that nothing had happened to the dog. When he arrived home, Dan introduced the dog to his son, Jack. "From today on, he is part of our family. You need to take care of him," Dan said. Jack was generally not interested in raising animals. When Dan asked him to give him a name, he came back and started licking Dan's shoes until they were shiny. Seeing this, they named him Shoeshine. The next day, Dan went to work and Jack went to school. Home alone, Shoeshine was very hungry. He went to the kitchen and took a small bite of a chili sauce tin that was there, when it exploded with great force and spread all over the wall. At this time, the mailman came out of the house and started teasing Shoeshine, who was inside, through the window. Angry, Shoeshine barked at him, and the sound wave shattered all the window panes of the house. The mailman got scared and left the place immediately. Then, when Shoeshine tried to pick up a tennis ball that was under the sofa, the heavy sofa fell in the air. Shoeshine himself did not understand what was happening to him. When Jack returned home after school, he saw the entire house in ruins. "What are you showing me, Shoeshine?" When Jack asked angrily, a voice suddenly said, "Sorry, Jack, I made a mistake." Jack was shocked. There was no one else in the room. When Jack asked, "Who spoke?" Shoeshine spoke again. "What? Can you speak human language?" When Jack asked in surprise, Shoeshine asked back, What? Do you understand dog language? The two of them screamed in fear and surprise. Later, when they went outside for a walk, Jack asked him, "How did you get this ability?" Shoeshine replied that he didn't know for sure either. While they were sitting in a park, Jack saw Molly, Jack's crush, coming towards them with her pet dog, Polly. Jack suddenly said to Shoeshine, "You can't talk to anyone but me. You have to act like a normal dog." Jack introduced Shoeshine to Molly. Shoeshine immediately liked Polly. Although he tried to express his love for Polly in animal language, Polly said, "I can only see you as a brother. We can be friends." After Molly left, Jack threw a frisbee for Shoeshine to play with. But in the blink of an eye, Shoeshine bit it and came back. Then Jack gave him a stick and told him to bury it far away. Shoeshine dug a very deep hole in no time and buried the stick there. Seeing all this, Jack was completely convinced that Shoeshine was not an ordinary dog, but that he had superpowers. Shoeshine could now smell things from far away and hear people's voices clearly. Suddenly, Shoeshine's super ears detected two thieves trying to stop Molly in a faraway place and rob her. Realizing that Molly was in great danger, Shoeshine started running at high speed to save her. As the speed of his run increased, he began to fly in the air. He was surprised by his own speed. He remembered that he had never been able to run so fast when he was in the police department. But while he was flying in the air, a large truck suddenly came in front of him, and trying to dodge it, Shoeshine lost control and crashed into a store on the street. A piece of cloth fell into his eye, blinding him. He crashed straight into a large building and came out by destroying it. But despite all this, he did not feel the slightest pain. Finally, he reached where Molly was standing. He flew out of the air and knocked down a large steel cap that was there. It hit one of the thieves in the face, knocking him unconscious. A ladder fell on the other thief's head. The thieves, frightened by this unexpected turn of events, left Molly and ran away. Molly saw the dog like a flash, so she didn't realize that it was Shoeshine who had saved her. Jack arrived there and asked Molly about the details. When Jack returned home, he looked for Shoeshine, who was hiding under the sofa, feeling guilty. "I didn't intentionally destroy the building or the cars. I just happened to be blind," he said sadly. Jack consoled him. "It's okay, Shoeshine. You're a real hero. You saved Molly." But he said that he had no interest in becoming a superhero, and that since he was young, all he had wanted was a loving family and a home to live in. He asked Jack not to tell his father any of these things. While they were cleaning the house, someone rang the doorbell. When Jack went to open the door, it was Simon's assistant, Cad. He had come looking for a beagle that had escaped from their lab. Jack said that he had never seen such a dog before and somehow sent him away. Dan returned home at this time. Dan was angry when he saw the broken windows and the whole house was dirty. When Dan realized that Shoeshine had done all this, he decided to give him to someone else. But Jack begged his father, "Dad, don't move him. I'll take care of everything for him." Dan agreed to do so at the insistence of his son. Meanwhile, Simon and Cad, whose lab had been destroyed, are now living in an underground tunnel in the city. They don't have the money to start their experiments again. To do so, they plan to rob a bank. On the other hand, Shoeshine and Jack have now become great friends. Jack bought a collar to wear around his neck and gave it to Shoeshine. It had his name and family complaints on it. One day, while watching the news on TV, they saw a major robbery at a famous jewelry store in the city. The robbers were holding the people there captive. The police were unable to enter because of the danger to their lives. The robbers were none other than Simon's men. Seeing this, Jack told Shoeshine, "You should save those poor people, just like you saved Molly." So Shoeshine put on his supersuit and flew into the jewelry store. The police and people outside the jewelry store were surprised to see a dog flying in the air. Shoeshine entered and beat all the robbers to the floor. Simon, who was watching all this through the camera, was shocked. It was the same beagle they were looking for. Cad somehow escaped with his life. After getting everyone to safety, Shoeshine flew away. The media reported that a superhero dog had arrived to save the city. Jack named him Underdog. Using his father's old red sweater and blue cape, Jack made him a special superhero suit. Their secret code was to bark 3 times if there was an accident anywhere in the city. Then, when a car in the city lost its brakes and rushed towards the school children, Underdog flew into the air and caught the car with his hands and saved the children. Simon tried to recreate his formula, but it failed. He realized that the formula could only be perfected if he got the DNA from Underdog's body. To do this, Cad dressed up as a woman and pretended to fall from the top of a large building. Underdog, seeing the danger, flew there and saved the woman. But it was too late to realize that it was Cad. Cad tried to put a special belt around Underdog's neck and lock it, but Underdog started pulling Cad with great force and started running. In the meantime, Cad was badly injured. Finally, the belt broke and Underdog escaped, but his name collar that Jack had given him was lost there. Simon found the address of the house where Underdog lived from that collar. The next day, while Jack and Shoeshine were going to the park, Simon and Cad went to their house and kidnapped Dan. Shoeshine was flying in the park with his girlfriend Polly, sharing his joy. That's when Jack learned that his father was in danger. Shoeshine barked 3 times to signal Jack. He took Jack and flew to Simon's hideout. When they got there, they saw Simon's cruelty. To save his father, Shoeshine surrendered himself to Simon. Simon removed Shoeshine's DNA from his body and injected him with a drug that would turn him back into a normal dog. In an instant, Underdog lost all of his superpowers and turned back into a normal little dog. Simon locked him in a cage. Jack and Dan were tied up there. Simon then gave the superpower pills made with Underdog's DNA to his 3 ferocious German Shepherd dogs. Now those dogs had superpowers. Simon took them with him and went to City Hall to threaten the city's mayor and get $1 billion. As soon as Simon left, Jack somehow managed to untie his hands and save his father. Dan grabbed some chemical injections that were there. At this time, Molly saw Cad planting a large bomb on top of City Hall. She followed, but Cad tied Molly and her dog Polly there. Despite losing his strength, Shoeshine ran to City Hall to save his city. There, he jumped in front of Simon, who was threatening the mayor. However, a large globe that was there rolled down and hit the mayor on the head, knocking him unconscious. Simon's 3 super German Shepherd dogs tried to attack Shoeshine, but during the fight, superpower pills fell from Simon's pocket to the floor. As soon as he saw it, Shoeshine ate the pills. All his superpowers that had been lost in an instant returned in double quantity. Underdog, who regained his strength, single-handedly defeated the 3 German Shepherds. Seeing this, Dr. Simon, who was angry, took the pills himself. With that, Simon also gained great strength. But Simon was also defeated by Underdog's extraordinary fighting spirit. Simon, who did not accept defeat, activated the bomb on the top of the building. At this time, Dan arrived there and stopped Simon and injected Simon with the anti-formula injection he had in his hand. With that, Simon lost all of his superpowers and became a normal human again. Since Dan was also an excellent police officer, the mayor had promoted him back to service. Dan immediately arrested Simon. There were only seconds left before the bomb above exploded. Underdog quickly flew and rescued Molly and Polly. Then he bit the big bomb in his mouth and flew to a deserted place without any people. There, he quickly made a big hole in the ground and put the bomb in it. The next moment, the bomb exploded deeply with a loud noise. Thus, Underdog saved the city and its people from a great disaster. All the people of the city thanked our beloved superhero dog, Underdog. At the end of the story, the cruel Dr. Simon and his assistant Cad are locked in the same prison cell, and Underdog lives happily with his beloved family.